isn't that great. And if you look at some of the lines in buildings, the sharpness on the lines are really important because there's a lot of straight lines. So if we compare it to the AI version, it's a pretty big difference, right? Especially the lighting, sharpness on the building, details in the clouds. Actually, if you think that we kind of faked this photo, you can see like these people over here, like this photo was taken in the same lighting condition. These people are in both photos. So the building and change the settings automatically. Here's another tough shot looking directly at the sun. Everything is washed out. You can't really even see the sun. If we jump, particularly check out the buildings here in the front. If we jump to the AI version, you get a much deeper red. If you look at the sun in the background, again, you can identify the shape. And then you see different colors in the sky. I can just jump again. So it really helps quite a bit. This is a landscape shot. You'll see that it recognizes landscape. We've also spent time optimizing the AI algorithms for India, training it on different scenes, different types of people, things like jewelry, colorful temples, different kinds of food. And so you'll see a lot of these results when you take photos here. We have a camera tuning team that's taken thousands of photos to help train these algorithms. So let's take a look at a couple of the snaps. So I'm a little biased because I think any photo with a dog in it is pretty awesome. But as many of you know who've tried to take a photo like this, dogs just do not sit still. So it's really important to lower the shutter speed to try to get a clear focusing on the dog. The problem with lowering the shutter speed is that the phone doesn't let in enough light. So here we've kind of combined the settings from the shutter speed and then made sure that HDR kicks in to get enough light in this photo so you get some nice colors in the background. Here is something where if you look up, this is kind of a lake. If you look up there at the top, you can see actually the ripples of the water. Again, these things can kind of be blurred depending on the focusing speed, but then if you don't have the right HDR settings, then you won't have enough light in the photo. So even in challenging conditions, this is indoor low lighting, building features are captured in sharp detail without much graininess. All right, so coming to the front camera. So on the front, we have a 20-megapixel high-resolution camera. This is actually the same camera module that we're using in the Mi 8. So again, with software, we're able to have a huge head start just importing the same software baseline for the front camera. So you get high-resolution photos, and then in low light, we do the 4-in-1 pixel binning to give you a super pixel here. This gives you an effective 1.8 micron pixel, and this, again, is used primarily in low light. We also optimized the AI Beautify mode, tuned it, again, specifically for India. It really enhances your selfies. We've talked about it a lot over the past, but it's a lot faster due to the AI chip here on the Snapdragon 845. Much like the rear camera, we also identify a bunch of scenes in the front camera. There aren't as many situations with selfies, but we try to make sure you get a lot of details out of the background. It's up to 10 different scenes. So here's a couple of quick snaps. Again, 20 megapixels here helps a lot for the resolution. I think Xiaomi's bokeh algorithm is really, really good. Details here are really sharp. Also works in group selfies. This is something that is particularly popular here in India. Make sure that we get both subjects in focus. The blurring effect is good. Here's an example of the pixel binning. This is actually, it's difficult to show, but the environment is a really, really low light. So the fact that we can get a usable, good photo is a result of these effective 1.8 micron pixels. So the Poco F1 front camera works pretty amazingly well. Encourage everybody to try it out. So that's the camera. We build on top of Xiaomi's expertise, both in hardware and software, and then spend months tuning the Poco F1 to give you superior image quality. We really hope you like it. All right, so that's performance and camera. Let me talk about the third thing, which is experience. And the software experience on the Poco F1 is designed for power users. It's for those of you who value performance over everything else, and we worked on a new software experience. It's called MIUI for Poco. It's a brand new interface that prioritizes speed and fluidity. So there's 3 components in MIUI for Poco. The first is the all-new Poco launcher, which I'll get into in a little bit. The second is something we call the turbocharged engine. This is what powers a lot of those under-the-hood optimizations for speed and fluidity. And the third thing is a focus on fast updates, which again is a piece of feedback that we heard from all of you a couple of months ago. So let me start with the app, the Poco launcher. This is probably one of the most noticeable differences that you'll see between the regular version of MIUI and MIUI for Poco. And the Poco launcher comes with 2 main features. The first is an app drawer, and the second, some customizations, to give you some more options, things that really make Android great. So the app drawer is probably the most commonly pointed out difference when people say, like stock Android versus MIUI. People say, I just want an app drawer. And the reason is because it gives you this convenient way to look at a sorted list of your apps. So let's take a look at how the stock Android app drawer looks like. So here we have the app drawer, sorted list of apps, recents up at top, and then the search bar all the way up at the top. So in MIUI for Poco, we brought the search bar down to the bottom, and this is because that's where your thumb is naturally, especially with the longer displays. It's a lot harder to search when it's up there. So again, makes it faster. Looks pretty similar, but a slightly improved function. Outside of app search, we have the ability to group things by categories. So we have the same recents up there, and then we create this tab which automatically groups your apps into categories. And this is something that we have seen from MIUI. This is how most people organize their home screen, is they put all of these apps into categories. So in the Poco launcher, we do it for you. All these things are sorted automatically. Of course, if you install another app, it'll just show up. If you happen to install another communication app, it'll just show up automatically. Super useful. We have another cool feature, which actually I use a lot now, and it's the ability to group apps by color. So when you turn this on, you get this nice set of colors down here. So here we click on the green one, and it just brings up all the apps by color. I thought that I always looked in the app drawer alphabetically, but you'll notice that when an app happens to change the icon, it becomes very difficult to find. So I found myself using this quite a bit. Privacy is also something that we focused on. So we have another cool little feature. It's hidden app icons. Swipe twice from the left. You can create your own password and then put apps in there as you like. So Android users, again, love customizing their phones. Another thing we did is we support third-party icon packs, things that you can install from the Play Store. So here we kind of shuffled through a couple of these icons. This is another area where that color search really helps because different icon packs change the color, which just throws me completely off. Super cool, super useful. So that's the Poco launcher. And actually, we will make it available. We plan to make it available in beta next week, so you can download this on other devices as well. All right. So that's the Poco launcher, the first thing. The second thing is the turbocharged engine. And this, again, is a focus on performance. That's one of the things that people say. We want better performance. So we're going to talk about 3 things. There's a lot of stuff going on under the hood, but we're going to talk about 3 main results here. Faster app startup, better performance for your foreground app, and a much faster and more responsive swiping experience. Let's dig into these categories. First thing is faster app startup. This is powered by our VIP launch booster. We actually have a little bit of a animation here. Basically, what we do is we allocate some dedicated resources for app startups. So when you start up a new app, instead of trying to get new resources, we already have a fast lane available to make sure that you have enough resources to start an app immediately. We've actually tuned this for the most popular apps here. So the startup time is really fast, particularly for these apps. and it's 28% faster when we did some comparisons with some other popular OSs with the same hardware. We actually, I believe, yeah, we have a video here, so let's take a look at this. All right, so with these optimizations, we took about 36 of the apps versus 19 for the OnePlus 6. All right, so that's app startups. The third thing is a faster foreground app experience. So basically what we do here is we try to prioritize resources to the foreground app because that is what you're actually using. So typically on Android, there's a lot of processes running in the background, and resources are kind of distributed evenly. So basically, we use something called dynamic allocation. The foreground app here is the little blue app down here, and we try to take all of the system resources, CPU, RAM, RAM, and allocate it to that foreground app. Because again, that's what you're really doing, and you probably don't care about the performance of those background applications. And this makes a big difference, particularly in gaming scenarios. This is a MOBA called Arena of Valor. I'm actually really good at this game, so if anybody wants to challenge me, let me know. But it's not only the RAM and CPU. We also prioritize bandwidth to the foreground app. So if we click up here, this is if you happen to be downloading something in the background. What we do is we prioritize the resources, make sure that all of your bandwidth goes into this foreground app so you have a good ping. All right, so the third thing is a faster and more responsive swiping experience. And as a power user, we want to make sure that you get more immediate feedback when you interact with apps. So we've done two things here. The first thing here is the left. On the left, you can see Poco from UI. Basically, this is it's the touch response time. So it's when your finger touches the phone, how quickly we can detect the touch, how quickly the system detects the touch. And we've actually improved this by 20%. Again, here is better swiping animations. On the left, you have Poco from UI. We've made the swipe animations 22% faster. This is something that there's kind of a look and feel change that people talk about a lot, and we've optimized this particularly for Poco from MIUI. MIUI for Poco, sorry. So overall, these two things give us 21% better swiping performance than before. And again, we have some other videos comparing this to one of our competitors. All right, so that's performance. Like I said, there's a lot more stuff under the hood. We have over 20 different deep system optimizations to MIUI for Poco, and the goal is to make sure that it feels fast and fluid all the time. So app drawer, turbocharged engine, and I think a category that I think many people care about, which is fast updates. So we're talking about fast updates both in security updates as well as underlying OS updates. All of you know that MIUI updates very, very frequently and for longer than any other OEM. But in this particular device, we wanted to prioritize those other two things, which many of you mentioned to us. So on to security updates. We will have security updates at least once a quarter, but we'll aim to do much better than that, but at least once a quarter. Onto the underlying OS updates, it ships with Android 8.1, but we will have the Android Pie update, the P update, in Q4 of this year. That's, again, the latest time. We plan to do it much faster than that, because we know this is important for all of you. And of course, it ships with Project Treble, which is one of the things that makes it easier for us to do these quick updates. It also, if you really love AOSP, it makes it easy for you to just slap an AOSP build on there. Speaking of some of those custom ROMs, we will do our best to support custom ROMs. I think given the hardware that we're talking about, I suspect that this device will be pretty popular with the custom ROM crowd. And as with Xiaomi devices, unlocking the bootloader won't void your warranty. So the kernel source will be available next week. It's the 29th. We'll post it in the same place. It's always posted on the MiCode GitHub repository. All right, so that's MIUI for Poco. Three things: most visible, the Poco launcher, the turbocharged engine for faster and more fluid performance, and then a focus on fast updates, which includes both security and OS, baseline OS updates. All right, so we have a summary video here. Let's take a look. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, one thing I forgot to cover, I think notifications is something that people talk about a lot. Many of you probably used MIUI 10. If you notice, our goal there is to try to get both appearance and functionality on par with Android P. If you look at it, it really looks the same. We'll have the MIUI 10 update out for this device really, really quickly. All right. To summarize, and this might take me a little while, I think. So we started, again, with Snapdragon 845, top-of-the-line performance. It was the obvious choice. But we did something cool. Again, pun not intended there. We did something cool, but we paired it with liquid-cooled technology, so you get not only good peak performance, but sustained performance. My personal favorite thing, the 4,000 mAh battery, and we added Quick Charge 3.0, because I know many of you would have asked us for it, which ships in the box. We have fast memory, 8 gigabytes, up to 8 gigabytes DDR4X, up to 256 gigabytes of internal storage. And again, all of this is UFS 2.1. Up here at the top, we have, again, leveraging Xiaomi's camera expertise. We're using the same main sensor that we use in the Mi 8, the same front camera module that we use in the Mi 8, and it's the same Snapdragon 845, so we have the same ISP. And again, we got a huge head start in software tuning because we're able to import some of those settings. And then we also have IR for face unlock with the cool video that I shot as a model, but in practice it works really well. And because it works in the dark, it never kind of ruins your habit. You can get used to it, and it just always works. And then MIUI for Poco with the app drawer, the turbocharged engine for better performance, and then a focus on updates. It's pretty amazing, right? So this, again, is the result of intentional product decisions that we made in the beginning. And it was stuff that we could do because we started from scratch. We could ignore trends that we think didn't really make sense. We didn't think it made sense to have another glass phone just because all other phones have glass. But we know that many of you cared about it, so we made that kick-ass Kevlar version. Everybody wants a bigger battery, so we made sure we had this huge battery. And I think the end result is awesome. I mentioned in the beginning that this is a type of phone that I've wanted to make. It's a phone that I think hits all the right boxes. It's really pretty amazing. And I think probably the next thing that everybody wants to know is the price. But before we get into the price, first, let me introduce to you Mancho, who is Poco's GM for India, and he'll